Interesting. So we can see John Sukenik on the left there. And John No Rug, we saw him earlier, like we said, round 1. And in round 1, he beat Reanimator, played by Ely Cassis. I spoke with Ely just a few minutes ago, and Ely said that he is no longer in the running for top 8, but he is still in the running for top 16 in prizes, so that's what he's going for.
Cool. Great to hear, because I really like that deck. Would like to actually see it featured again, but if it's not in contention for top 8, that's less likely. And of course, since we've seen it already, that's even less likely.
For those of you who are just joining us, once again, this is round 6 of the Star City Games Open in Boston. This is Legacy, Day 2.
Round 6 of 9.
6 of 9.
268 players.
I forget the Star Trek character with a name similar to that. 7 of 9?
I don't know. I'm not a Star Trek guy. I just saw the movie the other day. That was the first Star Trek I'd ever really
Are you talking about the
watched.
new movie?
Yeah.
I thought it was that. I thought that was a great movie.
It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. But as far as Star Trek, the actual TV show, it would usually come on, and I'd usually groan when I was young. I was like, I want to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's just crap.
So between these two decks, who do you think has the edge between No Rug and Blue White Stoneblade?
Jeremy just called us nerds.
Well, I mean, we are here.
Oh, he knows. He called us nerds and just said
he's like it's 7 of
us.
It's 7 of 9, guys. Just in case you weren't aware, that was our director Jeremy speaking in there for a second. Everyone knows that it's 7 of 9.
You guys are nerds.
One of the Borg who was taken away from the collective. So who do you think has the edge here now that we've got Jeremy off of the camera?
Who has the edge? That's a good question. I
mean, I'm looking at this. I see Force of Will, Mental Misstep, Spell Snare, lots of counter magic. Spell Starter Spray is probably going to be very powerful. Vendilion Click.
Yeah, there's a lot of counter magic, and some of it comes on the back of 1/1s who can pick up a Batterskull, ride a Batterskull. What do you do with a Batterskull? Whatever you do with it, you batter.
Oh my god. Well, I think that one of the things we can look to for our decision about who might have the edge here is the player with 3 more cards than their opponent. Scott, right now, is mulliganing down to 4 cards.
Whoa. Okay. Well, in that case,
I think Jonathan's going to win this one.
Jonathan might have the game won. Let's face it, we're all nerds, Jeremy. We're at a Magic the Gathering tournament.
I personally really like Magic the Gathering. Thanks, Jeremy. We appreciate your input there.
Yeah.
That was Jeremy, our director here. He directs all of the events these days, and so you can be happy that he's here on the job making sure we get some good coverage.
So finally, game underway. Flooded Strand from Scott. Wooded Foothills from Jonathan. Foothills cracked. Looks like a Grim Lavamancer there at the top of, at the front of Jonathan's hand. That indeed is a Grim Lavamancer. Of the Torment variety. The better version, if you ask me. And it resolves. I believe it resolves. Either way, Scott is cracking the Flooded Strand.
Grim Lavamancer is such a kick to the teeth on somebody that's already lying on the ground.
Yeah. I'm not sure. This may not be resolved. It's a possibility that he has a misstep and is deciding to pay the mana for it. Goes with Brainstorm. This may still all be in response, I believe it is, in response to the Lavamancer, but I could be wrong. Unfortunately, there's no zone, no physical place for the stack to sit other than the table. Sometimes it just looks like the Lavamancer's actually resolved when it hasn't. So Scott could potentially brainstorm into Mental Misstep and use that to take care of the Lavamancer. Also could potentially just brainstorm into something like Swords to Plowshares. He does have 4 of those in the deck.
One of the things about this matchup is the Swords to Plowshares basically acts very much like a counterspell for much of the deck in terms of the way it interacts with Jonathan's creature-based deck.
So it looks to me like that was actually a main phase brainstorm, and he plays a Wasteland and passes back to Jonathan. So the Lavamancer did indeed resolve, and now it's going to come battle.
In for 1. And John says go. John fetches with the Wooded Foothills. That was kind of cool that our director Jeremy joined in on the coverage for a second there, helping us out.
Jeremy's always welcome to jump into the coverage.
Oh my god, anytime.
I'm kind of afraid of him. Did you see what he was doing with the nunchucks earlier?
I know, well, you see what he did to Glenn Jones earlier.
So there's a Dryad Arbor.
Grim Lavamancer, such a problem for Scott right now. Anything that Scott puts down can be hit by a Grim Lavamancer.
Dryad Arbor and Lavamancer beats. And a second Dryad Arbor added to the board for Jonathan. My lands are dudes. Tropical Island. Tap 4. Natural Order. Sacrifice a Dryad Arbor.
Force of Will
from Scott. Removing Vendilion
Click.
Jonathan, do you have a way to protect your spell? Yes, he does.
Force discarding a Fire Ice. Amusingly,
force click.
There we go.
Wow. Yeah, force removing another Vendilion Click.
That's 4 cards going away for both sides of the table. Dryad Arbor, Natural Order, Force Fire Ice from John, and Force Click from Scott.
But it seems to be Scott's kept himself in the game. There will be no Natural Order. At least that Natural Order didn't resolve. And in the meantime, Lavamancer, Dryad Arbor beats continue. This game's moving pretty fast. I know there's a question on Twitter about the Dryad Arbor having summoning sickness. I think it was just node land drop, pass right back. I don't think it had summoning sickness. I think it was a matter of Scott just not doing anything.
Yeah, I agree.
He hasn't hit a land drop since his second turn brainstorm showed him a wasteland.
Here's an end of turn brainstorm. There's a plains, there is a wasteland, and then there's a Stoneforge Mystic that comes out of this. I wouldn't be surprised to see Scott keep both the lands and the Stoneforge Mystic and put back 2 of the cards that are currently in his hand. Then in his own turn, he'll draw 1 of them and then shuffle. Oh, that was a main phase. Good, that was a main phase. I was a little bit concerned about that being an end step. And here it comes, Stoneforge Mystic. Does that resolve? I think we're going to see a Daze. Daze, hardcast. Devastating play against Scott right now.
Yeah.
He's
Really
got
rough.
2 turns coming of not so many good things.
Trying to get back into the game here and just not able to do it, even when he has Stoneforge available.
Oh, mental misstep on the brainstorm from Jonathan. I will not allow you to get a slightly better hand, he says. He is fighting remarkably well for having mulligan to 4 cards. Daze to make sure the brainstorm resolves. Mental Misstep countered. Looks like that was land, and an undetermined spell. One of those lands, though, looked like it was a fetch land of some sort. I see a Tarmogoyf in his hand. Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, really on the back foot.
Land. Attack. Go.
Scott with now just... Oh, there's a second Wasteland.
Wasteland is actually very good here. Can turn off the Grim Lavamancer potentially. Waste. In comes the red source. 2 cards go away. 2 damage to Scott. Scott almost dead here. Second Wasteland hitting the Dryad Arbor.
Right, I was going to say he better hit the Dryad Arbor or else he just dies. I think he's going to 2.
Fetch land. Shoot you, you're dead.
There you go. Well, Scott did put up a valiant effort there in game 1 after mulliganing to 4.
That was shocking to me, actually, that he was able to do so much work based on so little resources. He managed to survive for 15 minutes there.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty cool. Evan just tweeted it, and Jeremy just tweeted it as well. We're apparently on autoplay on the front page of Twitch TV.
How does that work? Wow.
We're just featured, I guess, today. Must be doing well enough to be featured on Twitch TV and Justin TV. Justin TV is Twitch TV. I think they're pretty much the same. Twitch TV is like the renamed version of like the gaming, their gaming portion. So pretty cool.
So for those of you who are new listeners out there, I'm Adrian Sullivan, and I'm joined in the booth here by Joey Pasco. We're here at the Star City Games Live Open Series in Boston, officially Boxborough, Massachusetts, but Boston is how we're designating it for this weekend.
Closest major city.
If you throw a stone many times, many times,
you might hit somebody from Boston.
You can hit someone from Boston.
You'll probably hit a Patriots fan. That's
One of the things I've definitely learned about Joey is a football person.
I am.
The Patriots, they're a football team, right?
They are, unfortunately, a football team.
I was just making sure. I wasn't confident that they were necessarily.
There you go. They are a football team. I was talking to some Patriots fans yesterday about their Super Bowl loss to the Giants.
By talking, do you mean you were engaged in a fist fight?
No, I was talking. Yeah, I think it was this morning.
One of the things that's really interesting about the Star City Games Live coverage crew, nearly everyone in the Star City Games Live crew is a pugilist. Glenn Jones, he likes to get together and throw some fisticuffs about.
Yeah.
We already know Jeremy is a ninja.
Jeremy the ninja, yeah. You're quite a pugnacious fellow yourself.
Well, you know, I'm not as
your friends are.
I got hit upside the head by Jeremy earlier with one of his weapons, so we get to the sideboarding portion of the game, and I'm going to be willing to bet that you're going to see Umezawa's Jite being brought in from the board by Scott Hinojosa. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name. And the reason that an Umezawa's Jit is likely to be showing up, this is an opponent that has a lot of little creatures.
Yeah, the Jite could be very, very, very key.
Yeah, I mean, one successful hit with the Jite can take out Noble Hierarchs and Dryad Arbors, not to mention Grim Lavamancer. Now, that Grim Lavamancer did a lot of work for Jonathan Sukenik. That's his only one in the main deck. No way to search for it. Just has to draw it.
I think that Lavamancer may have knocked about half of Scott's life total down.
Sideboard-wise, for John Sukenik, he already saw Stoneforge Mystic, so Ancient Grudge is a very reasonable card to bring in.
Yeah.
And also, because he saw Stoneforge Mystic, Umezawa's Jite is a reasonable card to bring in.
Yeah.
Jite breaks Jite.
Yep. He certainly knows what he's playing against now, if he didn't already. It's kind of a shame because Scott could have looked like it could have been one way or the other. He may not have known that he was on the Stoneblade plan. I know, like, personally, the blue-white deck I play in Legacy is not of the Stoneblade variety. No Stoneforges or Batter Skulls or equipment of any kind in my 75. But
Do you play the Vidalcan Shackles deck?
I do. I like Vidalcan Shackles.
Yeah.
I like beating down with Vendilion Click and Jace Fate Seals and Mishra's Factories. I do like the fairy version of it, which this is very similar to. But anyway, by playing that Stoneforge Mystic, which didn't even do anything but draw out a Daze, Jonathan is probably very aware of Scott's major strategy, Plan A, and able to sideboard effectively against it, or more effectively. Jonathan looks like he's going to 6 now. A lot of mulligans happening in this match. Mostly, though, on Scott's side. So this is round 6 of 9. Wow, today is going by really fast. Just 3 more rounds after this. Have you heard much about Edgar Flores? I know...
Edgar Flores, I saw him earlier. He did not seem particularly in a good mood. I don't know where that puts him in the standings, but he seemed a little bit, I'll say, rougher on the edges.
Okay. I know I keep seeing him running around, but I don't know his record at the moment. Seeing a lot of Tarmogoyfs in the last couple rounds. Really just a lot of rug decks. And we talked yesterday about a possibility, and I'm not saying that it's a good possibility, but the off chance the Tarmogoyfs show up in Innistrad block.
I hope not.
Well, why do you hope? Do you really think it's too strong?
Well, just to quickly answer the thought about Edgar Flores, as of the beginning of this round, he was at table 11, which means he was probably at 5-1, and
okay.
maybe, or not 5-1, 4-1. So maybe if he was upset, it was because of the end one. And we got the match starting. I'll talk more about Tarmogoyf in a little bit. But we got an Ancestral Vision suspended by Scott. Wooded Foothills on the other side of the table for Jonathan Sukenik.
Visions ticks down to 3 counters. Jonathan. So looks like he's trying to decide on his land drop here. Dryad Arbor. Scott also played a man land on his second turn. Happens to be Mutavault. Does have to be activated, but it's twice as big as the Arbor.
I remember when Mutavault was first printed, a lot of people said, oh, it's a bad Mishra's Factory. But here we are, and we see it as a regular mainstay in Merfolk decks. We're seeing it in this blue-white fairy deck, like just to power up the Spellstirrer sprites, essentially.
It's another modern staple as well as a legacy staple.
Down to 1 for the Ancestral Visions.
Derek Blue and Joseph Pepperman, your draft is waiting for you. Please come on up to the coach stage.
Flooded Strand, just some land go happening. Exactly what Scott wants to happen, actually. Scott going to be able to draw a bunch of cards here at the beginning of his next turn. Interesting kind of how, I wonder if there's a possibility at all that John is actually treating that Visions almost like it's a standstill in letting Scott draw a bunch of cards, without doing anything, so that Scott can use up his cards. You know what I mean? Like, make it so that Scott isn't actually getting a refill of his hand, but he's just going to have to discard a bunch.
It's a really good plan. A lot of people don't end up enacting properly. I mean, this is one of the reasons why actually in Time Spiral Constructed, I was not a fan of Ancestral Visions. It just was too often that even when it would go off, presuming a Teferi didn't stop it, you'd have to discard. Can't quite make out that new land that Jonathan Sukenik has added.
It's Misty Rainforest.
Okay.
But he played a Brainstorm and gave Scott the opportunity to play something out of his hand, and it was a mental misstep.
Tarmogoyf.
Tarmogoyf now from Jonathan, so he is not doing the Wreck Your Ancestral Visions plan. Not necessarily wreck your Ancestral Visions, but make it a lot worse. Tarmogoyf has resolved, and now Ancestral Visions loses its last counter on
Pyroblast.
Pyroblast. That's one way to counter it.
Spell Pierce.
Spell Pierce from Scott. Another standard card.
Misstep, perhaps?
Seeing play in Legacy.
Spell Pierce has made a splash in the Eternal formats ever since it was printed. And then here we have Force of Will now, tossing Fire Ice. The other counterspells have been resolved, but Force of Will is now in the stack. Losing 2 cards to kill the potential for 3 cards.
And Scott either unable or unwilling to fight further over that.
I think we're going to see a Sword of Feast and Famine on the table. Fetches a... it's going to be a shortcut to do both of them. He gets a go-ahead for Jonathan. Go ahead, do it. Tundra, Tundra, Tundra. Mutavault, Mutavault. I'm going to predict a Sword of Feast and Famine hitting the board.
Did you see one in his hand?
I think I did.
Well, then it's not really a prediction, is it? I guess it's still a prediction.
It's still a prediction. He might not. He's got other plays.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Wrath of God.
Not what you predicted.
True, I was wrong. Excellent, excellent card. Makes Day of Judgment feel a little sad.
So Jonathan cracks his Misty Rainforest after the Wrath of God resolves and fetches up a Dryad Arbor. Still able to potentially go land Natural Order Progenitus right here, depending on what Scott has in his hand to fight it. But
tax for 1, no such play. Grim Lavamancer. After sideboarding, he does have an extra Grim Lavamancer. There's a Jace hanging out in Scott's hand.
Jace not so good at carrying a Sword of Feast and Famine, unfortunately. But he can carry a game, though.
I think we're going to see the Jace.
Jace
bounce Grim. Might not be bad to be Jace bounce Dryad Arbor.
Yeah.
You can only lay 1 land a turn.
Right.
Well, he's going to do the Fate Seal.
Yeah.
Daring the Grim Lavamancers and the Dryad Arbors to chase after it.
Yeah. Put it on the bottom. Tap 3, here comes Green Sun Zenith for 2. It resolves.
And that means we're going to see most likely a Tarmogoyf. Yep, he doesn't have any other worthwhile targets to go up 1 mana for. That's going to be Tarmogoyf.
He does have the option if he really wants it.
He can go down if he wants.
No, and he did go down. Look.
He did go down. Wow. So he spent the extra mana. Ah, there is a good reason to go spend the extra mana. Dodging Spell Snare.
And that's what I was thinking. Like he was dodging something like Spell Snare or Mental Misstep. Like I thought he might be trying to get another Dryad Arbor. And in this case, it's a Noble Hierarch. But Lavamancer either I think it just attacked Jace for 2 because of the Exalted trigger.
Jace once again, top of the library.
That's a keep it, I think. Oh no, he didn't take his hand off it yet. Still thinking.
It's a tough one.
And he passes back.
Back to Jonathan Sukenik, having to decide now if he wants to go after the Jace or do other work. Those Mutavaults do put a damper on the Chase the Jace situation.
Chase the Jace.
Minotaur.
What? I don't know if I get that right.
It's okay. John weighing his options here.
And there's another Fate Seal from Jace.
Back to Scott after nothing. It's at 7 counters for Jace. Time is running out. Sort of feast and famine.
Draft open. Number 2. Your carrying
Vendilion Click.
Please find your seats.
The Click. Click
Force of
pulls a
Will.
Force of Will, tossing Mental Misstep.
Attention players. Bravo's Pizza is here with another order. Mr. McNamara.
It's a lot of hungry pizza eaters here.
Yeah. This guy's got to be going nuts. He's going back and forth between Bravo's Pizza and here.
Natural Order.
That is a natural order.
Classic natural order, one that Jamie Wakefield, happy birthday, would be proud of.
That Rob Doherty I just saw walking around here.
Did Rob Doherty just walk
I
by?
believe he did.
Rob Doherty, happy father and Hall of Fame member. Apparently, his kid just played in his first F&M recently.
Yeah, he's in tow over there.
Here's Progenitus. In terms of answers for Progenitus, protection from everything. Does that have protection from God?
Not God's Wrath, apparently.
Wrath of God could be a way out of this.
He has already spent one. How many does he have available?
He has 2 Wrath of Gods after board. I think we're going to start seeing Brainstorm
Yeah.
from Chase.
A lot less Fate Sealing. Wasteland from Scott.
Is a mutavault anything?
It is probably.
It's a
everything.
thing in Magic? Okay. Protection from that, I guess.
Yeah.
John draws.
I think Scott could use wing shards to to deal with it.
Hall of Famer Rob Doherty just stopped by the booth to say hello. His son Ryan is a new Magic player. They're about to go play some Two-Headed Giant. So if you're a fan of awesome Magic players, you can pass it on to your kids someday. This game's been around for a long time. I bet it's going to be around for a lot longer.
Rob Doherty was sporting an Ascension shirt.
One of the
Love that game.
Another Noble Hierarch for Jonathan Sukenik. I have a feeling that Scott is not long for this world. He needs another Wrath of God.
Or a wing shard.
Was that a Wrath of God he just drew?
What, on top of it? I see Force, I see Island, I see...
No, I mean, just from his draw step.
It might be, I see something. It may be Swords to Plowshares.
It might be Swords. Swords would certainly not be anywhere near enough. Brainstorm looking for one deeper. Nope. Nope. Here's the choice right there. Is that it? I think we're going to see the throwdown of the deck. The hand into the graveyard and picking it up. Swords. Swords on the Grim Lavamancer. Well, I'll shoot you for 2. I don't have a pure picture at Scott's hand, so any other secrets over there, Scotty? Activates Mutavault. Equips the Sword of Feast and Famine to it. It's going to come in for 4. Untaps everything. What's left for you now, Scott?
Relentless Assault.
Okay, just
nothing.
doing a little bit of last minute monkeying around.
Yeah. Trying to give John a little scare. He's got to have an answer. Why else would he be playing?
And John Sukenik there with his cloak of Star City Games.
He likes that. It's kind of funny. He doesn't wear the shirt as a shirt. He wears it like a cape. So Jonathan Sukenik takes the match 2-0 versus Scott Hinojosa. Hinojosa.
I'll take one of those.